Today's episode is brought to you by Freedom Project Academy. Looking for a K-12 classical online school built on Judeo-Christian values? FPA is enrolling now for the fall. Request your free information packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedom, F-O-R, school.com.
It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. Before we get started, as usual, you got to hit that share button so we can share and educate as many patriots as possible. Okay, kicking things off with a fun segment here. This is Vicki McKenna and CultureCast. Vicki, it gets dumber and more stupid every day, but at least it's funny, isn't it?
I almost don't have words to share this story.
Yeah, you brought this to my attention. Explain this one for us.
So this is on GB News. This is a British news outlet reporting that the Edinburgh Napier University is now instructing midwife students to care for males giving birth, birthing males. And they're instructing these midwife students to learn how to catheterize a penis, in case, whatever. I don't know. Here's just a quote. The workbook also adds a trans person who has transitioned from female to male could give birth through a specially constructed penis. I'm not sure what that is. And then there's another portion of the book that instructs students, if you have a male to female transitioner, that there might still be some male genitalia to contend with, like a penis, that you would have to catheterize so that a biological man, could give birth. They're actually being forced to learn this, even though it's absurd. So I really don't have words except that, Western culture this is not the slow death of Western culture. This is the rapid suicide of it.
Yeah, this is the lemming off the cliff kind of suicide. And by the way, why do the woke folks in Edinburgh, as I believe they call it, the woke folks in Edinburgh, why is it that they allow the word midwife to remain? Shouldn't it be mid-husband?
Mid-birthing person?
Well, how about mid-husband? You're talking about constructing.
Right.
And listen to the language. Constructing some kind of artificial penis that gives birth. As opposed to, a vagina.
Vagina, which is, by the way, a canal that produces a child through the birthing process is a vaginal and not penile. It's vaginal. Just saying. I mean, I don't know how you give birth through a penis. I can't even imagine it. I don't want to see the kink videos that are associated with this, but this is just proof that that even STEM, sciences, has adopted this woke ideology that is telling people of science to completely suspend science for ideology, and it's kind of terrifying if you think about it.
You think about how many ways in this culture now we are already at the point of Orwell, right? Orwell's main contention.
It's Orwell in real life.
His main contention is that watch what happens with language, right? Double speak, right? Forcing people to believe things that are categorically, demonstrably untrue, while denying the reality looking right in front of you. Biology.
And reality is misinformation, and reality is disinformation. And now we're going to have a Ministry of Truth czar. And to monitor these kinds of declarations of reality against ideology, because ideology is reality, and if you discern something different, then you potentially find yourself at the wrong end of the legal system in the United States. That is, unless the Republicans or some group fights back against this unconstitutional incursion.
Well, I mean, this is the way. How do you? Even if you're the right-minded person in government, how do you assert truth in the midst of all of these lies and these scandals? How do you enforce it? Right?
It's impossible to enforce truth You can enforce truth perhaps through, slander, libel law, defamation law. That's very difficult to do it. You're basically, you're on the honor system in the U.S. We assume people are going to generally be truthful. You don't expect to have an entire 50% of the political debate in the United States insisting on lies as truth and screaming at anybody who calls them on their lies as peddlers of misinformation or disinformation. So if you said no, you actually can't give birth through a penis, then you would be, despite the fact that that is demonstrably true, you would be the one accused of promoting misinformation, disinformation, or this is a new term I learned yesterday, thanks to Nina Jankowicz, the soon-to-be new Minister of Truth in the United States, malign information. So if you disagree with the ideology, using points of fact, that could still be malign information, Duke, and that's bad.
Well, I'd like to go one step further and say, for all you people out there over the Obamacare debacle of 10, 12 years ago, now do you understand why so many of us were warning you about government-controlled health care? Because the government now is backing this kind of bodies don't exist. The idea that penises and vaginas are interchangeable. The idea that there's no difference between a man and a woman when it comes to menstruation. We're actually spending money to put tampons in men's bathrooms. This is one of the reasons why we warned you about national health care. Once they have control of your body, it's not your body, it's not anybody's body, it's not even a body anymore, according to these progressives.
I just saw an ad for feminine hygiene products that featured men in men's underwear bleeding from where their vagina might be if they weren't actually men. And so it's beyond bizarre. You have the Surgeon General of the United States, who is a man, who has endorsed the idea that sex is completely self-determined, that if you're 5 years old, despite the fact you can't go and, allow and sign off to get your own ears pierced or a tattoo, you can't vote, can't drink, can't serve in the military, but apparently you can affirm that you are the opposite gender as that kindergarten age person. And the Surgeon General of the United States, endorsed by the President of the United States, says that the appropriate response from the medical field is affirmation. So give that 5-year-old hormones and begin the process of transitioning that 5-year-old through surgical mechanisms to mutilate that kid. And when that kid turns 15, 16, 17 and is suicidal, the people who will be blamed would be the ones who are not trans-affirming in the first place.
Yeah, this is the use of science to destroy, not to build, to micro-engineer rather than to cure. It really is a remarkable thing. After the break, we have to talk about another body system problem in this country, and it's going on with the Supreme Court and the leaked Supreme Court decision. We'll be right back.
With all the censorship taking place on social media platforms, we've made it easy to keep up with your favorite content. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app in your app store. Get access to 18 new videos a week, plus thousands of archived shows, lecture series, and educational animations. Download the Freedom Project Media app on your Apple TV, Roku, tablet, or phone, and make sure you allow for notifications to keep you informed.
All right, back with Vicki McKenna for CultureCast. Okay, Vicki, isn't it? I suppose, thank God for little favors. Now that the leak from the Supreme Court has come, and it seems as if Roe is going to go down the toilet like it should have never been done, then suddenly the left has decided that women do exist again.
Weird. Isn't that weird? All of a sudden you can identify a woman without being a biologist. It's absolutely extraordinary. And so we're not talking about birthing persons. We're not talking about, men with, constructed penises or anything like that. No, we're actually talking about women now that it is apparently leaked that Justice Alito telegraphed the logic of Ruth Bader Ginsburg in a decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. And by the way, the riots have already begun. Los Angeles just was consumed by some riots last night about this. But it is awfully odd that in that quick, you saw the entire trans mafia be moved to the side. Hang on, we don't need you right now. We need to get the ladies to step back up, grab their crotches, scream about their vaginas, and we need to go back to the pea hats and the Women's March.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. Getting to see the hats dragged out of mothballs I mean, my God, this is to see Alyssa Milano, right, in her little pink hat, whining like a cat that's been run over by a lawnmower.
Perfect.
This is
so we're going to need
fantastic.
this. Yeah, we're going to need safety pins and pea hats and all of that stuff to make a comeback. Hashtag Me Too, no doubt, is going to be rearing its head again because, you know, the left, all it does is just simply cycle back in the exact same set of weapons. They don't get new tools. They just use the exact same set of political weapons. And it doesn't matter that they're logically inconsistent. It doesn't matter that they're being hypocrites because who's going to call them on it, right? Is Joy Reid going to call them on it? Is anyone on CNN going to call them on it? No. So here we are again, at least for a short period of time, with the comfort of knowing that we can actually, as non-biologists, define what woman means.
Well, for a short period of time, it's okay to be a woman, right? Only
for a short period of time
now,
until
again,
this decision,
well,
until the midterms are over. Yes.
Now, keep in mind, it's okay to be a woman if the purpose of woman is to destroy her baby.
Correct.
I mean,
yes.
let's be very, very clear about this. If you're willing to step up as a woman, we will allow it if the purpose of your femininity is
declaration of femininity.
Yeah, is the murdering of your own child. That's where we are. Now, I ask, it's a rhetorical question, but how many trans babies are going to be aborted by these women who are insensitive to trans people?
Well, that's a really good question, Duke. But if you're looking at 63 million overall abortions since Roe v. Wade became the law of the land, and if you actually believe the baloney statistic that 20% of people have declared themselves trans, you do the math. So you're talking about somewhere around 13 million trans babies will be wiped off the face of the earth. Now, it's okay, just like it's okay to wipe off 40% of all abortions. Those are for Black women, and 33% of all abortions are for Hispanic women. And if you believe that baloney number, then 20% of all abortions are going to be of trans children. And so we're talking about an awful lot of people in those special interest oppressed demographics that the Democrats say they need, being wiped off the face of the earth.
And don't forget the so-called 50% of Americans who are gay now, right? So there's them too.
How many gay children?
That's exactly
and it doesn't
right.
matter because this is all about deconstructing, we've said this before, deconstructing the idea of the institution of the family. The institution of the family, the nuclear family in the United States, is the anchor institution that allows this whole experiment in ordered liberty to work. And if it goes away, and that left is determined to obliterate the differences between gender, to obliterate the concept of masculinity. We haven't talked about toxic masculinity in a while, but we're going to very shortly. I rest assured, when the hashtag Me Too movement and the P hats come back, and we're talking about Roe v. Wade, we will definitely get back to toxic masculinity. But we have allowed the left to work its like carpenter ants and defeat the stability of the key institutions in this country, notably the family. And I'm not sure if they're going to be successful or not. A lot of people have woken up, but maybe a little too late. I don't know.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on all items at MyPillow.com when you use the code Dr. Duke. That's DRDUKE. Support this show by supporting a great American company.
All right, it's time for Trending Left. We've compiled some of the craziest stories making waves across the internet for your viewing pleasure. We start in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where a teacher is in some serious hot water after hosting a drag show for students without notifying any of the parents. The show happened at Hempfield High School, where students in the Gender, Sexuality, and Alliance Club were invited to attend after hours. Take a look. Following the event, the teacher had this to say on social media, quote, "I don't know how to explain the sheer joy I feel in my bones when these queens come take time out of their busy schedules to perform for us, year 3, and to be with my students. As Gender Sexuality Alliance co-advisor and a queer teacher, it makes me emotional to think of this space we have created. I would have loved nothing more than to have a space like they have, an opportunity to attend their own drag show." You know, Pennsylvania, Lancaster is the host of many Amish people. I bet Amish lifestyle starting to look really good right now, isn't it? The school says it is conducting an investigation and promises to discipline those responsible. What makes me believe that discipline is exactly what they're looking for. Speaking of forcing drag on kids, Tyra Banks and Discovery Plus are teaming up to produce a new show that celebrates children drag performers. Watch this debauchery.
I never expected drag to be a part of our lives.
Oh my God, these are so cute.
These are problems I never thought I had to prepare for.
What I love about drag is the glitz and the glam.
My name is Noah, and I'm transgender.
Have you talked to Mom and Dad about your pictures?
What do you think of taking those photos down? The constant reminder that I had to pretend I was a boy.
So my mom started Draguton. Kids and their families are coming from all over the country where we get to be our true self.
Oh God, this is happening.
This is a place of love and support because we need that in this world.
This is me, and you better like it.
Grooming at its finest. The series follows 5 teens and their families as they anticipate their biggest drag performance at Dragutante, a drag show designed as a platform for LGBTQ plus teens to express themselves. The 6-part series will debut on Discovery Plus June 1st. Staying in the same realm, the Massachusetts Department of Education has instituted new guidelines that actually insist students can use whatever bathroom they want. Under the restrooms, locker rooms, and changing facility guideline, it states, quote, "In all cases, the principal should be clear with the student and parent that the student may access the restroom, locker room, and changing facility that corresponds to the student's gender identity." Most alarmingly, it goes on to say, quote, "Some students may feel uncomfortable with a transgender student using the same sex-segregated restroom, locker room, or changing facility. This discomfort is not a reason to deny access to the transgender student. School administrators and counseling staff should work with students to address the discomfort and to foster understanding of gender identity." Yes, you just heard it. If you're a girl who is uncomfortable with boys in your bathroom, you're going to get mandated counseling from the school psychiatrist. Next, we move to kindergarten, where a teacher has dropped the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s in favor of lecturing 5-year-olds about pronouns. In fact, she says whenever you start a conversation with someone, you should always ask them to acknowledge their pronouns just like their name. Watch Wackadoodle Time.
You should be talking to your students about pronouns. Everyone has a pronoun, and you shouldn't be assuming what they are. Just like you shouldn't assume what someone's name is, right? Like if I went up to you and I was like, "Hey, George," and you're like, "No, my name's Kyle." And I said, "No, it's George." And you were like, "No, it's Kyle." And then I responded by saying, "No, I can tell by the way that you look that you're a George." That would be ridiculous. And that's how ridiculous you sound when you assume people's pronouns. So in your classroom, just start calling them pronouns. Stop using the word prefer as if, your gender is a preference. It's not.
Get over yourself and quit reinventing language and making up things to satisfy your vanity, and get back to the business of the classroom. God help the kids who end up your students. Finally, let's wrap things up with the scariest school librarian you have ever seen, talking about how she pushes the rainbow agenda on every child who checks out a book. In other words, you can't just get a book, you got to get a lecture.
But I will say that one of the smartest things that I have done at the library so far is simply put a pride flag behind me. with a picture of my girlfriend. And I did the same thing that I did when I worked at Barnes & Noble, and I stuck tiny flags on the Valentine's display to indicate which books were LGBT. So the kids don't even have to ask about it. They can just grab them.
This is one and only time that I can see a possible use for drag queens, helping young women like that improve their look. And that wraps up this segment. More craziness next time. It's time now for Reclaiming America with our counterculture mom, Tina Griffin. Tina, it is always great to see you.
Hey, great to see you too. And we are reclaiming America, Dr. Duke.
And boy, this next story is the kind of thing you would not expect to happen in a first world country. We have a report that a child as young as 5 years old, a baby boy, was having his penis and testicles removed in a hospital because doctors and parents said he was born in the wrong body. Talk about where this came from, how reliable is this, and what really is going on here.
Yeah, so we will say, of course, the hospital where this is taking place or recently took place, because this news broke this week, is not going to be releasing this information because of confidentiality of the patient, the family, the fact that he's 5 years old. But an inside scoop, a person that basically, well, I'll just explain what happened. Radical left intensely pushing their LGBT agenda on our kids. The president of the Center for Christian Virtue, Aaron Baer, is the one who broke this story. And he's taking a stand against his agenda, recently tweeting a very disturbing statement for anyone who truly cares about the kids. Here's what he said. An Ohio pediatrician told me today that a 5-year-old boy at the hospital was having his penis testicles removed because the doctors and parents said he was born in the wrong body. This is insane. Dr. Duke, coming from, once again, Aaron Baer, president of the Center of Christian Virtue, and he's very much speaking out right now and very active against this type of abuse against our kids. This is absolute mutilation of a child. It made me want to jump in my truck and go rescue this kid in Ohio.
You know, the circumstances of this letter, this revelation aside, this is exactly what the progressive educrats are telling you they want to happen. They want to have these kinds of materials, this even including surgery, mangling surgery, available to children they're babies who are just learning to talk, going to school for the first time. It's unbelievable. We got to fight this with everything we have.
We do. And here's what's insane. Baer and the Center of Christian Virtue, they're very vocal. In fact, they're backing Ohio House Bill 454, known as the SAFE Act, Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act. That's exactly what's going on here. Experimentation, disgusting. And the SAFE Act would ban hospitals and clinics from dangerous hormone-altering medications on children, as well as prohibiting transgender surgeries on them. This has to happen. Now, here's what research our team came up with and testimony that this bill shows. Puberty blocking hormones and cross-sex hormones can cause irreversible lifelong sterilization. That's exactly what the global elites want. They don't want us to procreate and have more babies. Surgical interventions lead to permanent disfigurement and scarring, as well as physical and sexual malfunctioning. Gender dysphoria is oftentimes masking underlying trauma. So these kids could have anxiety, depression, bullying, or abuse, not the fact that they're born inside of a wrong body. Plus, I don't believe God messes up in designing who we are as a person. So all of these different things are out there. This not only harms and sometimes mutilates their bodies, but it keeps them from experiencing true healing from what is actually causing the gender dysphoria, if that's what they even have. I think sometimes these parents want fame, they want fortune. I'm not saying it's in this case, but many parents that are out there doing this to their kids are out there for the excitement of the lights, glitz, and glamour when they get on these big TV talk shows and say we're letting our kid be who they want to be. They're 5. What they want to do is play out in the street with chalk in their hand and roller skate and rollerblade and jump on a skateboard.
It's 13 years before that child will be able to get a tattoo of its own choosing, let alone at age 5 to be able to give away his genitals. Before we go, we can't leave you with this kind of negative news. You've got a couple of good cultural moments as well. Share those, please.
Absolutely. Dr. Duke, your voice is being heard with the Disney chaos. There's been a lot of videos leaked lately exposing Disney officials discussing their LGBT agenda. A lot of people are waking up. Well, a Disneyland cast member just came out this week and said we have to help this lost woke company get back on track and save our kids. So she's an advocate staying with the Disney Corporation, trying to wake up the other employees. She goes, I've been with them for quite a long time. It's gotten very political. It's gotten very hard to be who you are. She's a Christian. It's gotten very hard to be someone with conservative values. But she says to her employees and everyone else, it's okay to stand up for righteousness. It's okay. You're not alone. And a lot of people are now jumping on the bandwagon and speaking up because of what this young, brave woman is saying. More information and detail in our Counterculture Mom app. But however, there's also two amazing sports figures with millions of followers. We have Liverpool soccer player Dejan Lovren took to Twitter recently with a picture that showed him canceling his Disney Plus subscription. 2 thumbs up from Counterculture Mom. Also, he said in that tweet, disgusting Disney, boycott Disney. People are jumping on the bandwagon with that. And then former UFC champion Jake Shields expressed similar outrage over Disney after learning that of their not all secret gay agenda. He tweeted, read about Disney, immediately sold 100% of my Disney stock. Dr. Duke, people are standing up and saying no more to Disney, and I hope that their parks are empty this summer so they switch things around quickly, or better yet, let's invest in creating parks that don't go woke.
How do listeners find more information about your organization?
Yes, counterculturemom.com, our website. Download the Counterculture Mom app. Get premium. It's $5 a month. We have a big honking team of people pumping out positive content that's positive pop culture to go in our kids' brains, not this nasty indoctrination. Parents want answers. We've got them. Check it out, Counterculture Mom app and counterculturemom.com.
And that's going to do it for this show. I'm Dr. Duke. Until next time, you need to stay educated, my friends, more now than ever.